Hi guys, welcome to Digital Tech Join. In this video tutorial, I'm going to show you how to integrate Stripe payment gateway in ASP.NET MVC application. Now I had created a similar video using Razorpay. So here is a video that I will share that link in this video description, which actually demonstrate how to integrate Razorpay payment integration in ASP.NET. If you need Razorpay integration, I recommend you watch that video. Now before we proceed, the first thing that we need to do for integration of Stripe is that you need to sign up. So once you sign up, Stripe will provide you with developer key and publisher key that will be required to integrate in our ASP.NET MVC application. Now I already got an account, so I'll just show you. So you click on sign in and scroll, and there's an option called sign up. So once you click on sign up, you need to provide your email address and then your full name, your country and your password, and you create an account. So I'll just sign in to my account and then I'll show you from where you can fetch the developer key, the key and the publisher key. So I sign in with my account. So I've created an account in Digital Tech Join. So I've logged into my account and it is redirecting us to the dashboard. So here is the dashboard of Stripe window payment gateway, and here you can see on the top right corner there's something called developers and the test mode is enabled. So in order to enable the live mode, you will need to provide certain documents which will enable you to take payments from your website or any other source. So right now the developer mode is active, and in my dashboard you can see there is home, this is payments, the number of payments done, the balance amount, and what are the billings report, and all these options are there. We won't be exploring these options as of now. We will explore two options. First, we will fetch the publishable key and secret key, which is right here in the dashboard. On your right hand side here you can see there's a publisher key and the secret key which we need to copy, and then we'll use the payments. So once we integrate in our application, when we do any dummy payments, we should be able to come and see the transaction in the payment section. So let's copy the secret key. So this is the secret key, so I'm just going to click on it and copy it. So this I'll click and copy it. So I'll just open a notepad and copy my secret key. So this is my secret key. I've copied it. Copied. So now it's copied. So this is my secret key I've copied, and I'll copy the publisher key as well. Publishable key. So these two keys I've copied, secret key and publishable key. Now we will open Visual Studio and start integrating Stripe in our application. So I've opened Visual Studio 2022. I'm going to click on create new project. I'm going to select ASP.NET Core MVC. Click on next. I'm going to name it as Stripe demo. This is a location where the project will be saved. This is a solution name, and I click on next. So this is the .NET Framework 7.0, and I click on, so I just untick configure for HTTPS as of now, and I click on create button. Okay, so the project template, default template is loaded. The first thing we are going to do is that since we are integrating Stripe, we need to add the required libraries. So I'll right click on it and select manage NuGet package, and here I'm going to click on browse and type Stripe. So here stripe.net, okay, which is having around 23.5 million downloads. Click on that and click on installed. So this will install all the necessary APIs. It is already installed. You can see the Stripe is installed now. So now our project is having all the necessary libraries for that integration. The second thing we are going to do is that we are going to save the secret key and the publishable key in our app setting.json. So here we are going to create a section called Stripe and we are going to name it as secret key, and I'm going to go to my notepad and copy the secret key. So this is a secret key. Similarly, I'll paste my publishable key as well. Colon, and then I'm going to go to my notepad and copy my publishable key. Okay, so this is done. So my setting now, app setting has the required keys. Now we need to go to our program files and include the API setting over there. So what I'm going to do is that go scroll down just before the use authorization. I'm going to call that library Stripe configuration. Okay, and I'm going to just click on this and say use Stripe. So you need to use this reference, use Stripe over here, and then say Stripe configuration and provide the API key. So this will be builder.configuration.get section, and here we are calling the section colon secret key and get. Fine, so we have passed the required secret key. So now let's go ahead and so what we are going to do is that first we'll run the project just to ensure there is no exception. So what we are going to do is that we are going to create a static page called the checkout, where we will create a small model and pre-populate some products with the rates and quantity, and then we will do a checkout which will then redirect us to Stripe payment page, and then we'll also create a success page as well as a failure page. So there's some exception. Let me just check what is the issue over here. Okay, so this must be at, let me go to app setting. Okay, so I've forgotten now. It's supposed to do a end over here, so I did not do that. So let's run the project once again. Okay, the project is loaded successfully. Localhost 5155. Okay, so now let's create a small model. Right click on the model folder, say class, and name it as product entity, and then define the properties. This will be rate, and this will be quantity, and we'll also include image path, which will be image path. So model is ready. Now let's right click on the controller and say add controller, and select empty controller, and then select, just name it as, remove this one and replace the home with checkout. So this is a controller. Okay, the first thing we are going to do is that we are going to display products. So we will create a dummy method that will actually pre-populate the product. So what are we going to do is that we are going to say list and product entity, which is our model class, and this is our products, product list, and then we will say product list equals to new product, and we are going to pass in some product information. So we are creating something called for watches, so we'll say okay, product entities, and this is a product is coming in the, and then this rate and quantity. So we are giving dummy values, but this is only because I want to show the core functionality. Otherwise we could have created a full-fledged shopping cart, which if you request, if you comment on this discussion of this video, I'll definitely create if you need it. So this is the part I'm sharing. So I'm going to create a folder and save these images over there. So this is one image, and then you just copy this and provide the second image as well. We'll change this. Okay, and this is 1000, and this quantity is 1, and this is the second image. So this is a product list that we will be using and we'll pass this product list to our view. So now second thing we are going to create is that just expand the W2 root folder, right click it, say add, and add a folder. I've added the folder img, and I already have some images that I'll just add it on desktop, something called images, and so these are the two images I'll be adding, image 1 and image 2. So added that image. Now what we'll do is that we will go to the view. So I've not created the view as such, so let's right click on index and say add view, select empty and let it be the same index. So I'll add the view code over here. We'll defer the model. So this is model and enumerable and product entity. So I'm going to create a table. And we'll pre-populate table class table sif and table right and table dot order. So these are the bootstrap class that I've used. Tables type don't require this, and the width will be style, and the width will be 100%. So this is the bootstrap setting, and now I'm going to add the headings, that is td product name. So guys, I have added the product name, rate, quantity, product image, and total headers. Now we are going to loop in through and fetch the records. I'm going to say for each add item in model. Okay, and then it will be tr and td will be at the rate item or product. We're going to just copy this and repeat it for rate, quantity, and image and total. So this will be, I just change this to rate, this will be quantity, this will be image. So for image, so we are going to say image path, and then we'll have total. So in order to display total, what we need to do is put this into bracket and say item dot rate multiply by item dot product quantity. Okay, and for image we need to use the, just cut this and say tag image tag img source is image path, and we need to give a styling. So we are going to say width 130 pixel colon and height 150 pixel. So this is a tagging for displaying the image. And finally we will add a button over here called checkout, which will actually do the Stripe integration code. Okay, so where we'll actually write the Stripe integration code. So let's run this and see whether our product is getting pre-populated. So I just wanted to create a scenario. I could have directly shown the Stripe code, but I wanted to show a scenario. Okay, so I need to call it. So I'll just in the controller checkout, and here you can see our page is loaded. We have the product, we have the rate, quantity, and the total, and then we also have an image which is displayed over here. So now we'll have a checkout button. Now the moment I click on checkout, I need to fetch all this information and then pass it to Stripe and get the payment done, and then return back to the success or the failure page. So let's now actually get into the actual coding of Stripe. So first we'll add a checkout button. First we'll add a controller method. So I go to the controller, checkout, and here I'm going to add a method called checkout. So we might copy the same code to populate that information over there. So let's add a method called public iAction, and this will be checkout. Now ideally, in ideal scenario, this method will have an input called list objects, or which will add the products here, but we are hard coding it. So we'll just copy this same code and paste it over here. So these are the products that we are going to pass to Stripe. So okay, the first code we need to do is define the domain. So where domain. So domain is nothing but the URL that our application is currently running. So it will be localhost colon. So I need to check what was the domain. It was 5.1. I'll just check it. Just run the application once. Okay, return view. So it's 5. So I'll just copy this and come back over here, and I need to paste this. Okay, so this is a domain URL. Now I will just take you back to Stripe API reference and show you from where we have picked up this code, so that it is in future, if you need to implement more of the Stripe functionality, you can do that. So let's go to the browser, and here you type Stripe API reference for .NET. Now you get this window and click on the first link, Stripe API reference, and this is a complete API reference for all the frameworks Ruby, Python, and .NET. We are working on the .NET reference. Now here you can see all the methods are there. You can implement paginations, so a lot of balance check and everything. So all this method is API driven, and you can use it in your application. So we are right now doing a checkout. So we'll scroll down, and there's something called checkout section, and here in the checkout, so if you click on the checkout section object, there is something called, just below it, creates checkout section. So what we are doing is that we are actually taking the products that the customer has selected for purchasing, and then we are doing a checkout. So that is in this particular code is more relevant for us. So create a checkout section. In that you can see the .NET code where we have already added this Stripe configuration API key in your program files, and this is actual code that is actually fetching all the line items, that is the product that needs to be passed with the price, content and everything, and creating a session of the Stripe. So this is a code that we are going to use it, but I'm going to explain it while I'm doing it. But I'm making you aware of this portal, so that if you have any other features that you need to implement, that you can go ahead and explore it and do it by your own self. So let's get back to Visual Studio. So the first thing is our application domain, that is a URL. Now we are going to create a session create option, that is var options new session create options. So all this is fetched by the library that we are using. If you go up, you can see there is a library that we use using Stripe, and we added this package. That is the reason we are getting these options. So here I have created a section, implemented a section create option. Now this takes certain URLs, for example success URL. So success URL, okay. Now sorry, success URL, and this will be our domain, that is our URL plus $, and this will be a controller checkout / order confirmation. Now I have not created the method yet in the controller. We'll do that. Right now I'll provide the information. Var options session create options, this is right. So success URL, yeah. So the issue was that I had not included stripe.checkout. Okay, so there was stripe.billing, but you need to use a checkout. So here I've used stripe.checkout, and once I use the stripe.checkout, we are getting the option. So here I've created an object called session create options, and here inside this option we are going to use the success URL, failure URL, and also set certain properties that is required for the checkout. So let's define the properties. The first is success URL. So success URL will be the URL that needs to be redirected. The Stripe will redirect after the payment is successful. So domain plus, that is my URL, application URL, plus the controller where I need to return back. So here I'm going to use order, and this will be a controller checkout / order confirmation. So this order confirmation controller method is still not created. I'm going to create that. Then we have cancel URL. So this will be similar. I'll just copy this and I'm going to change. So cancel URL will be basically simply a checkout, the same controller, but I'm going to add login. So basically we are redirecting user to login once the transaction is cancelled. So this is simple URL redirection. So we have domain plus the controller, that is checkout, and then the login that I'm going to create. After that we have something called line items. These are the product items. The line items equals to new list. Okay, so it is new list and session line items options. Okay, comma, then we have mode. This will be payment. Okay, and if you want, you can also specify customer email address. So I just mentioned digitaltechjoin@gmail.com, but in ideal scenario this will be passed by the view where Friday the customer does the transaction, and then it comes to registration, and once he register, you have to capture that email address and pass it over here dynamically. So that is something I just wanted to mention. If you don't mention this email address over here, when you redirect it to the Stripe payment page, there you need to manually enter the email. We can see that. So let's do one thing. I'll just show it to you. I'll just remove this line and let it be without the email. So this is one. So we have set up the eye level configuration. Now what we are going to do is that we are going to create line items basis the model which we have, basis the product that we have created. So let's do that. So for that, what we'll do for each where items in product list, and we're going to loop in the products, that are 2 products, and where session line item equals to new session items. Okay, and here we are going to pass the values. Okay, so here we are going to price. So first is price data, and price data as new session line item price data options. So we are called session line item price data options. So this is a lengthy name, but session line item price data options. Okay, and then we pass in the unit amount which is there in the model, which is item dot price, item dot rate multiplied by item dot quantity. So this is the main price. Then we set the INR. So we have currency equals to INR. Then we have product data equals to new session line item price and data product data options. Very lengthy name, but be very careful while selecting these names. Okay, and then you need to provide the product name. So name equals to item dot product dot to string. Okay, so this is done, and finally we have quantity, which is as item dot quantity. So this is, we close this particular part over here, and now once the line item is set, so whatever items we have provided with the rate, quantity, INR, okay, this line item we are going to add it. So we are going to say options, which is our variable options declared over here, options dot line items, okay, dot add and session, and we pass this variable session list items. Okay, this will add 2 products. Now once the product is added, we need to set up the Stripe code. So we say where service equals to new session service, then session, we call the session, and session equals to service dot create and options. We pass the variable. So this instantiates the Stripe session over here. Now once the session is created, we are going to add the response header. So we are going to say response dot header dot add. This we are going to provide the location tag, and then we are going to say session dot URL. Okay, and then we're going to say return new status code result 303. So guys, please understand this code. Here we are actually setting up the product quantities list, the number of products that the shopping cart has selected. Then we set our application URL. Then we set this option set, where we pass the success URL, cancel URL, and we create a variable called line items and define the mode. And actually we loop in through the product model and provide all the necessary product details to the session line items. Once that is defined, we add it to the options variable. Then we come up over here, we create an object of Stripe and we pass these options over there, which is having the entire settings and the product information. Response.error is setting the URL. That means we are telling the browser that we need to redirect to a third-party URL, and that URL is this over here, which is dynamically created by Stripe, which is encoded having the URL as well as all these options that it is passing. And finally, status code result 303 means that we are actually redirecting it to the another site with the particular URL. So let us now go ahead. So our code is ready. Let's put a breakpoint over here, and let's go back to our view and add the checkout button over there. We go to our index checkout, and right after the table we have the BR tag and ASP.NET action, and this will be checkout, and our controller will be checkout. Okay, our controller name is also checkout, and this will be value checkout. Okay, so this is our button. We don't need this value checkout. So now we have created a button which is calling our controller checkout method. So let's run the application and see things in action. So once we do this, we need to also code the success and the failure page. So let me add this in the default page so that we can see the product list directly when it is loaded. We go to the shared folder and layout, and we change this to controller to checkout, and action is also in action is index. Same for this is watches shop, and this is watches. Okay, and this is checkout. So let's run the code now. So here you can see we are able to see the page now, and it has two products with the quantities and rate, everything. And we're clicking on checkout button. The moment we click on checkout button, we align it to the checkout method in the controller, and we have set up the product. Now we set the URL. Now we set the success URL, cancel. These pages are not there, we will create it, and then we loop in through the products and we add those quantities and rate and everything. So one product is added, second product is also added. Now we create an object of Stripe. The object is created successfully. The session is created. You can see the session ID and everything. Now here we are setting the URL header, and we'll be redirecting. This is a URL which is created. You can see it's all encrypted, and now it redirects to Stripe page. You can see things in action. Here you can see these are the two products. This is the Stripe checkout page, friends. Here you can see the account name. This is a test mode. You can see the total amount and two products with the quantity and rate. And if your number of product increases, you can add pagination over here, which is a part of the Stripe functionality which I showed you in the portal. We can do that. Here you can see the email address is blank, and since we have not provided that, so we'll have to manually enter, and the card and name and India. So now in order to make sure that this works, we will be using the test credit cards. So let's do that. Let's go to the browser and type in Stripe test cards, and here you can see the first link. You can use the cards. So this is a test card, photo. This is a here you can specify, and the test card you can copy it and use it. So you can use for visa and all this, they have provided it. So let's do that one. Let's go ahead and try to test a code. So digital@yahoo.com and 4242. So this is a card number, then we have the year, that is, what is the card test number? Let me just check. Testing. So this is 1234, and okay, so I'm just checking whether, okay, so the lot of card you can use it. Let me try this out. 5 6 7. So photo, this is, and this is 567. Okay, name of the card, digital, and country India, and let's click on pay. Yes. So you can see the payment was successfully, but it did not find this confirmation page method, so that is why we are getting this error. But our payment was successful. So what we'll do is that we'll complete this implementation, we'll add the cancellation and the success page, and then we'll proceed the complete module integration workflow. We can check it. So in the checkout controller, let's add a method called order confirmation. Just add one method. So what should this do is that this should fetch the session ID from this method, and basis the session ID, it should say that whether your payment was successful or failure. Now since in the checkout it went out of the Stripe URL, and then it is created that payment, we need to capture the session ID somewhere over here. In order to use the session ID in our method order confirmation, what we need to do is we need to save the session ID over here. So we will do that. So just before we set the URL, what we are going to do is that we are going to use temp data, and we are going to create something called session, and here I'm going to pass the, since the session is created over here successfully, so I'm going to use that variable session and dot ID. So this is the session ID. Okay, now we are going to use the same session ID over here. So once the payment is successful, it will come over here, and here we have to use the session ID. So we'll declare var service, and we say session service. Okay, now session equals to service dot get session. So we are going to say service dot get, and here we are going to use temp data session to string. So this will capture the session over here. So we are going to check if session dot payment status equals to paid, and then we'll redirect to return view and we are going to create a view called success. Correct? So this is a code for order confirmation. So where service, sorry, it's new session service, and then we say get, and so this will actually fetch the session ID that we passed while the redirection. And finally, if it is paid, it is paid, otherwise we return to okay, and this will be login, that is its field. So this is a code. So let's put a breakpoint over here, and also over here, because we are going to show you how the session is captured. So let's redirect now. Click on shopping, checkout, and I'll just run through this code once. Here it is come. Now it is successfully created Stripe object. Now if you get the mouse over the session.id, you can see the session ID. Now this session ID, with this session ID, it is redirecting to Stripe page. But once we come back over here, we need to retain that. That is the reason we use the temp data. So let us do a successful transaction over here and redirect to our order confirmation page. We'll enter the email. Okay, I think the card information should be 42442. Month is 13. Sorry, it was 12/34. 567 if I'm not mistaken. And digital country. Let's click on pay. No thanks. Now this time it should redirect to our controller. Yeah, so it is redirect to order confirmation. Now if you just go over here, and you can see the session temp data, it's storing the session ID. So we are able to retain that. We create an object and get the temp ID. Now once we get a temp ID, it says that the payment is paid. Yes, it is paid, but I've used small p, capital P, so it will not match. But then once our payment is successful, it will call the success page and redirect, else it will call the login page. So let's now completely create the success as well as the login page. It's a small HTML page that I've created. So let's create that. So I'm going to create action method, and I'm going to name it as success, and I'm going to copy that, and I'm going to do the same for login. Return view, and same here, return view. Okay, right click on that and say add, create a view, and this will be success. And similarly, we are creating a view called login, and right click and say add view. So we have created both the views, and you just close all the windows, and in the success I've created some HTML. I'll just copy that. I'll go to my desktop, images, and this is my success HTML. I'll just copy the code that I've created. Okay, this is a simple code which just says your order placed successfully, and there's an image which I'm going to copy for success is a failure. So it's a simple HTML code which says thank you for shopping. So for that, I'll just copy those images. So right click on the image folder, add. You can add any images which you like it to desktop images. These are the two images that I have saved it. This is for these two, that is sad and success, which I have added over here. Now let's go and also copy that HTML for login. So I'll just open my folder, and this is the login. This is also a small piece of code in HTML. nothing much. It says that the transaction was failed. So here you can see oops, transaction cancelled, and it displays a sad image, but it says thank you for visiting. So our both the pages are ready now. Okay, so every implementation is ready. Once again, I will just put a breakpoint in the confirmation because I want to show you how it is moving. So it's a small page. Okay, so I did that. Plus also, if you want, you can also extract the transaction ID. So something I'm just showing over here with transaction ID. So if you want, you can use session dot payment intent, something which is as you can save this over here and then pass it to the success page and save it in the database as well. So I'm just going to remove this breakpoint checkout because we already done this. Now we'll just see the order confirmation page and do a successful transaction, and also show you the cancellation step. So I go to checkout. Here I can see, I click on checkout. Now if I don't do the transaction and click on back, it will push me to the login page where it's as good as transaction cancelled, and you can see how the page looks. So this is a page, so says oops, transaction cancelled. Okay, this is some issue, but anyways the image is flipped out, but this is a transaction image. So let's again go ahead and click on checkout, and I'll show you a successful transaction page. So this is the product details, and I'll just add one more product just to increase a better understanding. So we will add one more product to it. So just copy this and paste it, and we can add one more product, Amex, and quantity 2. So I don't have the image, we'll use the image too. So let's run the application now. Shopping, the image, the product is not added because I've added it in the checkout section, so we can see that over here. So now you should be able to see 3 products. Yeah, you can see 3 products over here, and the rates is also increased. Now I told you about passing the email address. Sorry, I just not added. Let me also add that. So here I mentioned about that you can also pass the email dynamically. So I say customer email, and I say digital tech joint@gmail.com. So I added my email, and now you should be able to see checkout, and here you should be able to see the email by default. So email is there. Now let me add the card quickly. This will be 1234-567, and name is Digital India. I click on pay button, and successful, and I redirect to the order confirmation method. Here it is there. Now it will fetch the session. Now the session ID is paid. It will go inside. Here I was telling that you can also store this payment intent ID, which is stored. We can store it in database, or also pass the success page and redirect to the success page. Here you can see the payment was successful, and we are able to see the order placed successfully. Okay, so this is how the complete implementation of Stripe payment integration ASP.NET is shown in this video. I hope everybody liked this video, and I request everybody to subscribe my channel and like my videos. Also do share my channel link with your friends, colleagues and family members, and help us to grow our digital tech joint channel. Thank you for your time.